Welcome to our second Zoom presentation of 2021. It's exciting to do with a holiday company who've got an exciting product and an ever exciting product that is expanding almost by the month, I think, and Joe will talk to us a little bit more about that. From a Miles Morgan travel perspective, it's great that whilst we're open in every shop, sadly we're only virtually open, but we are open in every shop now from 9 in the morning till 10 p.m. at night. So anytime you want to get a hold of us, you can, despite the fact we're now in lockdown, which we obviously hope to see lifted over the next few weeks and months. From a travel perspective, how are we seeing business? I think it's fair to say that we're not seeing any business for people traveling in the front half of 2021, but we are seeing lots of confidence from customers traveling in the latter half of 21, and certainly lots and lots of bookings for 22, because a lot of holiday companies have already put their programs on sale for 22 early. And so we're seeing a lot of people already taking advantage of that, because not surprisingly, the holiday companies are keen to get bookings in, and as a result of putting together some amazing offers, which customers are taking advantage of. So things are quietly improving, which is good. I think the feedback from customers is totally loud, totally clear, and equally totally understanding. So people are waiting to see the death toll drop, which I have to say for all of us is an alarming number of people at the moment. And also looking to see that the vaccination program carries on schedule, which is the key thing. You might be able to see behind me that I've actually passed the big 5-0 there. And so therefore I'm going to be getting my jab hopefully by April at the latest, which is quite exciting. I can't wait, to be honest, to get my jab in the arm and get back traveling. I think we probably all pretty much feel the same about that. So we're going to be joined today, and he is there now, by Joe Labors. Joe has been at Wendy Wu a good few years now. He's a good friend to our business. Wendy Wu, predominantly known as a tour operator, doing an awful lot of tours into China. But actually, for probably, and he'll probably tell me I'm wrong here, but probably 2, maybe even 3 years ago, they started diversifying into lots more countries to offer their award-winning tours. So Joe is going to focus, I think, particularly on the new stuff that you might not be familiar with that Wendy Wu do. So Joe, without further ado, I'll pass over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Miles. And yeah, I'm also in that plus 50 club, so I'll be queuing up for my jab, hopefully for Easter as well. Thank you everybody for joining me. Really do appreciate you taking the time. And as Miles said, I'm going to go through trying to give you the highlights really of some of the tours and the destinations that we go to. We have such a breadth of product, I can't cover everywhere in depth, and I am going to go at quite a pace, so hopefully it will keep you interested. You won't be on too many slides for too long. Just in case there's people listening who are not familiar with Wendy Wu Tours, so I'm just going to give you a little overview of what we do, what destinations we go to, and what makes us a bit different. So we are the UK's #1 Asia tour operator, so nobody sends more people to China or Japan on escorted tours from the UK than we do. And that's a position we've held for quite a number of years. Japan has been a real massive increase in interest and bookings with us, and our program has expanded massively there. A lot of our clients will travel on our fully inclusive packages. Now, we do have a couple of different tour styles. I will explain that later. But on our fully inclusive packages, which are our classic tour styles, maximum group size is 28. Generally, we average 24, but maximum is 28. And the price that you pay includes your flights, predominantly 4-star accommodation, all of your guiding, all of your experiences, and we have more high quality experiences than any other escorted tour operator, plus all of your meals. And that's a great Western style big buffet breakfast in your hotels in the morning, and then we use restaurants for lunches and dinners. So you really are getting some fantastic local cuisine. If a visa is required by a UK or European passport holder for any of the destinations we travel to, that is included in the price, and we work closely with Miles Morgan with our visa department to ensure that that's a really easy, smooth process regardless of the destination. We've won a shed load of awards from within the travel industry and also from consumer publications such as The Times and Condé Nast Traveller. and I always say this, I get paid to say how brilliant Wendy Wu Tours is. Talk to Miles Morgan. They've dealt with us for many, many years. They've got lots of satisfied customers. Check us out on TripAdvisor, 5-star ratings, gold trusted service on FIFO, 20+ years experience in putting these tours together. And we really do have the best guides in the business as well. So let's quickly move on to our 6 brochures, which basically give you the overview of our destinations. So as I said, we are the market leaders in China and Japan. We also travel across the whole of the Southeast Asia continent, Vietnam and Cambodia being our most popular destinations. You can see I've got a picture of Halong Bay behind me, but we also travel to Myanmar, Thailand, Borneo as well. So quite an extensive program across Southeast Asia. In India, we've got tours across the whole of India, the north, the southern regions, as well, of course, the Golden Triangle, which is incredibly popular. Also Bhutan and Sri Lanka. Then we have our Latin America program, and brand new in our Latin America program, which I'm going to talk about a little bit towards the end, is we're in partnership with a company called Quark Expeditions to run Antarctica small ship expedition cruises. And then the Central East and Middle Asia, Central Asia and Middle East brochure, where we travel all across Central Asia, across the Silk Road, for example, Mongolia, Uzbekistan, Georgia, and then we have the Middle East with Egypt, Jordan, Israel, and Oman. So just briefly to go through our tour styles. So as I said, we've got our classic group tours. They're the ones that include everything. And then we have our Go Beyond tours. It's a much smaller selection. And with our Go Beyond tours, these are really aimed at people that maybe want to get off the beaten track a little bit more, might want to do something a bit more adventurous. So they can be a little bit more physically demanding with hiking and cycling as an example. They have a smaller group size of 18 as well, and they don't include all meals. So you've got a little bit more independence, but you still have one of our fantastic guides with you from start to finish, because on all of our tours, you have a national guide who is with you from start to finish, and then they'll introduce you to some local guides as well. We've also introduced new for this year some dedicated solo departures, and I've got a fantastic solo offer, which I'll talk about at the end. These dedicated solo departures are with no single supplement as such. They're only slightly cheaper than going on our normal tours and paying a single supplement, but we're adding in some extra benefits such as private taxi transfers, airport lounges, obviously your own room, welcome reception, and it's really about traveling with other like-minded solo travelers. We can do private tours for you. Again, just let Miles Morgan know that you may be interested in doing a private tour. So we can take any of our tours and do that just for you and the people you wish to travel with, or we can tailor make. Tell us what you want to do and we'll put it together in conjunction with Miles Morgan and get you a special quote. So now let's move on to the real exciting stuff. That's about Wendy Wu and about our destinations. So I'm just going to use each brochure as a sort of touch point, really, so you can see how many tours that we have. And what I would say about all of our tours is the longer you can go, not only is it the better value for money, but you actually get a much better experience as well. Our most popular tours tend to be in and around anywhere between 14 days and 16, 17 days, but we do have tours that range from 8 days in duration right the way through to sort of 27, 28 days. So, but what I would say on those longer tours, you are immersed even more. You've got more time to spend in destinations. So if you can do it and you can afford not just the time, but the money, then it really is worth doing. So this is our most popular tour of China. And I'm not going to go through this tour in any great depth, but I am going to highlight just a couple of things which you can think of that Wendy Wu do that makes us different from a lot of other operators. And this is a great example. So Beijing, for example, going to the Great Wall of China, a lot of companies will go to the Badalin section, which is the closest to Beijing. It has a cable car and a toboggan ride. It's incredibly popular with the Chinese. It gets completely ram-packed, whereas we prefer to go to a much quieter section, and we will be, on that particular day, the very first people in. So you will get that opportunity. Mandy Schilling from Miles Morgan has been to China with us, and she's got some fantastic pictures of her on the Great Wall of China and nobody else around apart from our group. So that's just one example. You go down to Xi'an, famous for the terracotta warriors, of course. But what a lot of other companies will do when they do escorted touring, you think of it for Europe maybe as an example, they'll say you've got 2 days in Rome, and you envisage coming out of your hotel in the middle of Rome, walking around the corner to the Trevi Fountain or to the Colosseum. But the reality is that quite often you're staying right on the outskirts of Rome because the hotels are cheaper. Well, Xi'an is a prime example of that. It's a walled city. You really want to be within the walled city because that's where you can go out from your hotel in the evening and wander around and enjoy the city. It's a fantastic place. So what we do is we make sure our hotels are incredibly well located. So you're not on the outskirts of somewhere. When we do the Yangtze River cruise, other tour operators, to try to get the duration of a tour down, might only do 2 nights or 3 nights. We do 4, so you get the full experience. And pacing of a tour is key. You don't want to be in that situation where you've done a tour, the price looked a bit cheaper, it's shorter, you see the main sites, but you're rushed around, and then you feel like you need a holiday when you get back. So for us and for Wendy, it's always been about the experience and what you do. So you can take that as an example for all of our tours. So moving on to Japan. So incredibly popular, has really been on the wish list of lots and lots of people. We've got a couple of Go Beyond tours. We've got some brand new tours, one of which I'm going to talk about. And our most popular tour is called Japan Uncovered. 17 days, focusing on the big main island of Honshu. Now there's 3 main islands when you go to Japan. There's about 6,500 in total, but there's 3 main islands. The main island in the middle of Honshu, then you have Hokkaido up in the north, and you have Kyushu down in the south, which is quite volcanic and very scenic. But most people and what they want to do is on that main island. So I'm just going to show you a few images. I'm not going to tell you too much about them, other than just to give you some of the headlines of why this tour is so popular. It's because in this 17-day period, you get to see all of the major attractions. So you'll get time at Osaka Castle, down at Nara, which is fantastic experience with the bowing deer who will come up and bow in front of you, to Himeji, which is probably the most well-preserved castle in Japan. It's never been affected by any form of conflict or any natural disasters at all, so it is incredibly well preserved. And then down to Hiroshima. This is the A Dome, which is the only building that survived that blast. 80,000 people were killed instantly, and many tens of thousands afterwards due to radiation. But a lot of the places around Hiroshima have now been re-established and restored. But this is one of the original buildings that is still left, that was at the heart of that blast. Quite a moving experience down in Hiroshima. To Mirajima Shrine Island, and all across Japan, you'll see these amazing torii gates. But this one's particularly famous because when it's at high tide there, as you can see, it looks like it's floating in the water. And torii gates are seen as being a spiritual gateway from this world into the next. So you will see them all across Japan. You'll travel by bullet train on quite a number of our tours, and that's an amazing way to travel. 250 odd miles per hour with passengers on board, like everything in Japan, spotlessly clean, wonderful people, really great service, always on time. So it makes our train system look terrible in comparison. And they're actually improving on the bullet train system, which they've had since 1964, with building these maglev trains, which they're hoping to have a full network by 2025, which will levitate, two magnets, and they'll levitate above the track, so no friction, so they'll travel even faster. But my most famous part, or sorry, popular part of Japan, Kyoto, the ancient capital, absolutely stunning. This is where you'll see the geishas and the fantastic area of the Gijon area, which you can see here with the amazing little back streets and the small bars and the, like I say, the geisha district here. You'll indulge in a tea ceremony here, which is again a wonderful immersive experience with a tea master. And we've got lots of other experiences as well. Up to Fushimi Inari Shrine, the 10,000 Torii gates, the Golden Pavilion, and this area is absolutely incredible. I really enjoyed my time here. These are the most amazing Japanese gardens, and this ancient Zen temple with the top two layers of made out of solid gold leaf. Takayama, so you're now up into the mountain region where you see these quite different architecture for Japan. And these roofs are slanted like this to represent the Buddha's hands in prayer, but also designed to withstand the huge amounts of snowfall that they get in this part of the country. And then seeing the snow monkeys in the wild. And not only do you get to see these fantastic creatures in the hot spa preening themselves, but we'll take you to a Japanese onsen in Yudanaka as well, for the opportunity for you to have a bathe in the hot springs, but obviously no monkeys around. And then Mount Fuji, you'll get the opportunity to go up to the 5th station, but you'll also get the opportunity to cruise across Lake Ashi, take the Hakone cable car, the skyway up to get this fantastic view across the valley as well to Mount Fuji. And then finishing up in Tokyo. Absolutely amazing Tokyo. We know it all for the fantastic skyscrapers, of course, and the modern side of Tokyo. You don't have to go far off of these heavily populated streets and neon sign lit areas to see the traditional Tokyo. So there's particularly in the Asakura district, where you have Shinto shrine next to a Buddhist shrine. So lots of things to do in Tokyo. We'll take you up the Sky Tree as well, which is the tallest tower in the world, and you get a fantastic view of the whole of Tokyo. So that's just some of the highlights as to why that's our top selling tour in Japan. But this tour, when we launched our brochure in August, and we only put 2 dates on sale. We've already sold those out, so we've had to put another 4 dates on. And this has been incredibly popular. You're going to travel across all 3 islands, so everything I've already mentioned, plus you'll see Sapporo and Hakodate in Hokkaido, as well as the fantastic sites in the southern island as well of Kyushu. 21 days, 2,000 kilometers, but because you're traveling by bullet train, I think it's something like 15 train journeys, of which half are bullet train and the rest are first class train travel. It's a great way to see the whole of the country. So if you could do Japan, this would be the tour I would recommend. So moving on to Southeast Asia. As I said, Borneo, Indonesia, Laos, Myanmar, the Philippines, Thailand as well, but Vietnam and Cambodia are without a shadow of a doubt our most popular destinations in this region. And this is a brand new tour that is a Go Beyond tour. So it doesn't include all meals. It's probably about 50–60% of meals included. And it's covering the 3 destinations of Thailand, Vietnam, and Cambodia with some fantastic, unique experiences. The beauty of this tour, with it being a Go Beyond, is a really nice, relaxed pace. People that's previously been to Vietnam, for example, may also be interested in doing this tour. Lots of extensions you could add on for beach stays afterwards if you wanted to. And by spending 2 or 3 nights in each place, it's a much more relaxed pace than some of the shorter tours that are available. So just going to go week by week just to give you some of the highlights of this tour. So the Vietnam and Mekong Delta, we'll do a cyclo tour of Saigon, and also we'll obviously go out to the Cu Chi tunnels, which if you've not been or are not familiar, this is the underground city that the Viet Cong built to fight off the Americans. And it is really interesting when you visit this part of the world to get a different perspective on that Vietnam conflict, which ended in 1975, particularly around that Saigon area. You can see the booby traps that they laid, and it really is a fantastic way to spend an afternoon. I thoroughly enjoyed my visit there. We take you on a dining experience, which is very, very different. The noir dining in the dark experience. So this is in Saigon, and it's a restaurant where it's completely pitch black, and you're served either by blind or visually impaired waiters. And it's all about, do you actually know what stuff tastes like if you can't see it? So that's quite an amazing experience. Plenty of time in Saigon, and then we will join our ship, which we launched in December 2019 on the Mekong, called the Victoria Mekong. You'll spend 4 days cruising up the Mekong. We cruise from a much quieter, more authentic part of the Mekong than other cruise companies do travel along. It's a very eco-friendly vessel with solar panels, its own water filtration system, plastic-free, 33 deluxe cabins on 2 levels, all exactly the same, and 2 VIP cabins at the back of the vessel as well. And it really is a beautiful ship. Those cabins are really spacious. The average on the river is normally 16 to 18 meters squared. Ours are 25 meters squared. They also have full double balconies, as opposed to a lot of the ships that will only have a French balcony or a Juliet balcony, if you like. So I've been out on this particular balcony having a cocktail in the evening. It's absolutely stunning. It's really light, bright. It's got this Asian fusion, so it's quite modern Asian. The food is absolutely incredible. There's a small cinema on board, lots of outdoor space for you to be able to sunbathe as well, and a small spa and a small gym, as well as a plunge pool, which is at the back, and is again great place to spend some time as the sun's coming down, having a cocktail in the evening. And also the vessel, because it is going on a much more authentic part, we're able to take you along some of the more rural tributaries of the area, seeing some of the floating markets, a visit to Tiger Island, to see some of the handicrafts that are made there, and not that many tourists actually visit those places. You're then into Cambodia. We take you around Phnom Penh and the killing fields, of course, learning about that quite traumatic part of Cambodia's history, a craft beer tour, and then the temples of Angkor and Angkor Wat. But one of the real highlights here, and I was able to do this last year, was to actually go out on a small sampan into Angkor Thom's moat and watch the sunset there. And it's absolutely stunning, beautifully quiet. All you can hear is the crickets, insects, a few birds. We'll also take you to the Apopo Hero Rat Centre. I didn't do this experience, but I've been told it's quite amazing, where you see the rats that they've trained to actually find some of the still unexploded mines that are in some parts of Cambodia. And then plenty of time to spend in Siem Reap at your leisure as well. Then we're into Thailand, spending time in Bangkok, seeing the bridge on the River Kwai, a bit of time by the beach in Hua Hin, Monsoon Valley Vineyard, and then 2 elephant experiences with a 4x4 wild elephant safari, and then also visiting an elephant sanctuary as well. So quite a stunning tour. And if people just fancy going on the ship, sailing up the Mekong, for example, or down the Mekong, and then having a beach stay in either Vietnam or Cambodia, then we can actually do that for you as well. So very briefly, I'm going to cover India. I'm just going to cover our most popular tour. We've got a huge range of tours from 10, 11 days right the way up to 27 days, covering the whole of the country. India is our most revisited destination. A lot of our destinations people generally will travel to once, but India they tend to revisit, and that's because they start off with oh, I'm not too sure about India, maybe I'll just do the Golden Triangle. They love it, and then they want to go back and do the north, and do Rajasthan, or then they want to go back and do the south and do Kerala, maybe staying on a houseboat. So it is somewhere where people will go back 2 or 3 times. But of course, our most popular tour does include the Golden Triangle. So we have a Golden Triangle tour, which is slightly shorter than this Inspiring India, but this is the one that is really, really popular and is fantastic value for money. And what we've done with this tour is when we go to Ranthambore, this is where you go on the tiger safaris. And again, this is the difference between us and a lot of other operators. Some other operators will go to Ranthambore, but you'll only be there for 1 night. You'll get limited tiger safari time. Therefore, the chances of you seeing a tiger are diminished. Whereas with us, we get actually 2 to 3 safaris in. So you do optimize that chance of being able to see tigers. So this is a fantastic tour. And then moving on to Central Asia and the Middle East. So Central Asia has been a really expanding area for us. We've done the Silk Road and Mongolia for quite a number of years. And that was always featured in our China brochure. But now with the increased interest in this area, we've actually brought out its own brochure now and put some tours for the Middle East. Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, we have a fantastic 5 stands tour as well. Mongolia for the Nadam Festival, which is the disciplines that Genghis Khan said you had to have to be the ultimate warrior, which are horse riding, wrestling and archery. And this is a really big, so it's like the Mongolian Highland Games is what I like to call it almost. Georgia, absolutely stunning. And like I said, we've got a range of tours that do travel right the way across the Central Asia element of the Silk Road. Middle East, and this is one of my favorite areas that Wendy Wu have started to do. I've found my time in Israel and Jordan and Egypt as well. I haven't been to Oman, I'm afraid. Absolutely amazing. We've got all of these tours are a week long in duration. So they're quite short tours for us, but the countries are quite small, easy to get around, easy to navigate. But what we've done is we've structured the departure dates in such a way that you can actually put them together. So you could do Egypt on its own or Jordan on its own, or do them together. And we've put that together, as you can see, as an 18-day tour. Jordan and Israel together, or the big one doing Jordan, Egypt and Israel together as all 3. And I have to say, if you've not been to Jordan and you've not seen Petra, if it holds any interest at all, it really is absolutely stunning. It is, without a shadow of a doubt, the most amazing experience that I personally on my travels have experienced in seeing an ancient archaeological site, if you like. Even though you know what you're going to see when you get to the end of the cleft in the mountain that you walk through, there's nothing that takes it away from that moment you come through that cleft and the monument is in front of you. It's absolutely incredible. And then Latin America, and to which we've added Antarctica. So we've got tours of Argentina, Bolivia, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Chile, Uruguay, and also Antarctica expedition cruises. But our most popular selling tour is our Chile top to toe tour. And a lot of people actually add on our 5-day Easter Island extension to this. Some creative packing required for Chile, because you are going across 3 very, very different climates. So if you take right up in the north, the San Pedro de Atacama, the Atacama Desert, it's one of the driest places on the planet. You then have the Lake District in the middle, which is a much more temperate climate. And then by the time you're getting down to Patagonia, of course, we're talking glaciers and macaroni penguins. So very, very different climate, little bit of creative packing required, but it is our most popular tour that we run in Latin America. And you could, of course, go back every year and do a different tour and do that for 5, 6 years, doing each different country separately. If you'd like to get the most out of it, doing it in one go, then this is the big tour that we do, the Ultimate South America. Starting off in Peru. So you'll spend time in Peru, obviously going up to Machu Picchu. And again, difference between us and many other operators, you get a 2-day pass. We stay up in Machu Picchu village. We're not just there for the afternoon and then going off staying somewhere cheaper. Down through into Bolivia. You'll get to see the Uni Salt Flats and stay in a salt hotel, down through Chile, then crossing over the Andes into Mendoza. Some great wine, obviously, on this tour, Chile and Argentina particularly. You'll spend time with the Argentinian gauchos, the cowboys, down to Buenos Aires, then up to Iguazu Falls. You'll see Iguazu Falls from both sides, and it is very different from the top and the bottom, and then finishing up in Rio. So absolutely amazing, incredible tour. And then we have partnered with a company called Quark Expeditions, and they are the leaders in polar expedition small ship cruising. They've got a fleet of, I think it's 6 vessels now. The biggest of those only takes 199 passengers. And I could talk about this as a whole separate presentation. So I'm just going to give you the highlights. We're doing 4 tours with them where you can fly over the Drake Passage from Punta Arenas into Georgia and then pick up the cruise from there. Or the other 3 that you can see, the Antarctic Explorer, the South Georgia and Antarctic Peninsula, and then South Georgia, the Falklands and the Antarctica Peninsula, where you will actually sail across the Drake Passage from Ushuaia. These are literally once in a lifetime trips. You're going to see some amazing wildlife. They've got fantastic experts on board to give you lectures and presentations about what you're going to do and what you're going to see, and lots of experiences that you can indulge in, from kayaking to whale watching, of course, and even doing some snow hiking if you wanted to as well. So very, very different for us. And I think that's the point of my presentation is, don't just think of Wendy Wu as being China and Asia any longer. So this is the final new product, and I'm going to tell you about some special offers. We've got 3 offices. The head office is in London, which is where Wendy resides. We then have an office in Australia, which is actually where the business started. And we have an office in New Zealand. And of course, we know at the moment people are not able to travel. So our New Zealand office decided to put some tours together for actually Kiwis to go on. So these were actually designed for domestic tourism. So they are going to some very different parts of New Zealand than traditional tours. Also, a lot of tour companies, when they take you on a tour of New Zealand, quite often your meals will be very hotel focused, or they won't include many meals because it's quite expensive to eat out. Well, that's not really going to work if you're putting a tour together for Kiwis themselves. So on these tours, we're taking you to fabulous restaurants, amazing food, and we've got 3 itineraries. So we've got the Hidden Gems of the North, as you can see there, for 13 days, or you could do the Southern Island, or you could do the big 23 days, which is basically just putting these back to back. Now, let me just check the dates that we have on sale. We've already sold out domestically for the first few departures of early 2021, but for the UK market, we've got tours departing 27th of October 2021, 17th of November, and then also in February and March in 2022. So fantastic tours and very, very different from what is normally available in the market. So these are our January offers for any bookings that you do with Miles Morgan with us by the end of this month. So I want to talk about our flexible booking guarantee. So it's just £99 per person deposit. The balance is not due until 6 weeks before departure. So we've given you more time to be able to pay that balance. And also, should you need to change or cancel your booking, we can move that and amend it totally free of charge, at least one amendment. And should we have to cancel it, then you will get the opportunity to either move your tour, go to a different destination, or of course, we'll give you a full refund. Our main offers, we've got free return flights on 30 of our most popular tours, where you can save up to £800 per person. If you're a single traveller, then we've got 53 of our tours where we have a few rooms available with no single supplement. So on some of our tours of Japan, you went as a solo traveller, not having to pay that solo supplement, so you can save up to £1,890. If anybody wants to fly with BA to Japan or India with us, then we're also able to give a free upgrade to World Traveller Plus. That doesn't coincide with the free return flights though, so that's not mix and match. And because we love Miles Morgan so much, and they always love to give an exclusive for their clients, we're going to add on top of this a free airport lounge if you book by the 31st of January, and also a free case of wine. What I would say about these offers, obviously, as Miles said right at the beginning, we are trying to stimulate demand at this point in time. People that are booking early are getting incredible deals. And as we start to travel again, of course, these deals will not be as generous as they currently are now. So my advice to anybody, whether you're booking with us or booking with anybody else, is if you see a great deal at the moment and it's very little risk for you to actually book it, then I would go ahead and do that. All that remains for me at the moment, unless there's any questions, is to say thank you. I really do appreciate your time this afternoon. I think I've got through that in quite good time. Yes, I was hoping for 40 minutes. As you are aware, that's a lot to cover. And I'll hand back to Miles. So thank you very, very much for spending the time this afternoon.
Super, thank you, Joe. I'll ask you a question if I may. I'll put you on the spot.
Oh God.
All I can say is watching that just refreshes my memory in terms of why I love travel so much and so many things I want to do. And the obvious question to ask you is, all wonderful destinations, when do you think, or when does Wendy think we will be able to go?
Yeah, we were hoping that we would get Japan away for cherry blossom this year, which is at the end of March, beginning of April. But I think, unfortunately, although domestic tourism is happening in Japan, I think with the current situation that we're still in, I think that's looking probably unlikely. We don't really have much in the way of departures during the summer anyway, because it doesn't really work with the destinations that we go to. So we're certainly thinking of I would say, September onwards, people will definitely be able to travel, hopefully, and bookings are certainly coming in for September 21, and also, as you said earlier, with bookings you're taking 2022. So those offers are valid for 2021 departures and 2022 departures.
Okay, that's great. Another question from me. You've clearly been to lots of places, seen lots of lovely things. If there was one of all the things you've gone through, if there was one recommendation, suggestion, or trick you would say to people, whatever happens, do not miss doing this because it's just the best experience I've ever had, what would it be?
Oh, it's got to be Japan. It has to be Japan without a doubt. It's so different to anywhere else that I've traveled, and I only spent a short period of time there. I think you've been, Miles, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah. I just found it incredible, and for me, I'm very much a one-hit person. You know, I'm very much okay, go there, seen it, done it. But with Japan, I think you could go back time and time and time again. If I could get 3 weeks off work, I would definitely do that Japan by rail tour without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, I did some tripping around whilst I was there out of Tokyo and went all around. And Hiroshima, I have to say, not somewhere that I would automatically have thought, oh, I need to go to Hiroshima. It's on my list of places I want to go to. But I have to say, having gone there, what an experience that was to have. Quite an incredible place. And as you say, the people are incredibly friendly, and it's such a different destination. I mean, I've been to a lot of places around the world, and it just ticks that very different box. You know, I look at, you can say, well, you know, Thailand's relatively similar in some ways to Hong Kong or whatever, but Japan just was in a different box for me. It was a real spectacular place to go to. It really was.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. So yeah, I definitely will be going back to Japan at some point.
Now, I don't know whether you can, anybody on this can see down the bottom of your screen that there's a chat mention. But if you want to ask any questions, you can free type in that. You just click it and you can type away. In fact, you can put in there, you can see Suzanne. Thank you very much, Joe, from Suzanne in Bath. 21 day of Japan looks fantastic. There you go. So somebody's already posted in the chat. So if you do want to ask Joe any questions, then you can just pop it in that chat at any point. Just type it in and you can ask him. Okay, Joe. Is there anything else you want to get across to anybody? Any other key messages, or have you've done your pitch?
Yeah, I've done my pitch. I would just like to say that we've, as a very conscientious tour operator, the safety of our clients is always at the utmost, as I know it is for you, Miles, as well. And it's why we work so well as two companies together. We've got very, very similar attitudes to customer satisfaction, and they really are the lifeblood of why we have a business. We've spent a lot of time on putting as many COVID protocols in place as we possibly can, from simple things like hand sanitizers with all of our guides and masks and front-facing microphones. We've always had really, really strong checks on our accommodation and on our transportation, and that has included and been enhanced. So we're taking every single step we can to make our trips as safe and as spatially distanced as it can be humanly possible.
Yeah, I think there's possibly the one thing I would say is there are a few companies these days that are called by a person. Miles Morgan Travel happens to be one of those, and ironically, so does Wendy Wu Tours. And I've had the great delight of meeting Wendy on a number of occasions. And the thing that's abundantly obvious when you meet Wendy and talk to her is two things. One is just how passionate she is about the places she puts her tours together for. And the other thing is how fixated she is as making sure that your travelers that book with Wendy Wu experience the very best of those destinations. She's absolutely passionate about it. She's a lady, if ever you get a chance to meet her, anybody on this Zoom, she's a fantastic lady to meet. Let me tell you, mine booked plenty of time, because boy, can she talk, Joe, can't she? She can talk, but when she talks, she's the most listenable person you can ever have, really. You hang on every single word that Wendy says, and of course she's been to so many places and experienced so many things. She's a fascinating lady to listen to. Denise, oh, this is great, Denise. Thank you for this. So I can't praise Wendy Wu too highly. We had to abort our trip to Vietnam and Cambodia in March because of COVID, and their care and attention was fantastic. Oh, wonderful, Denise. Did you book in Portishead, Denise? I'm trying to think now. No, where did you book? Type me in where you booked so I can just see.
Thank you for that comment, Denise. That's you know, it's always lovely to hear these kind of things.
No, I booked in Monmouth.
You booked in Monmouth with Claire and the girls in Monmouth, Claire, did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's great. That's really good to hear. And thank you very much for your feedback. As Joe said, there's nothing quite like getting feedback like that. It's brilliant.
We were on the boat on the Mekong, and that is an amazing boat. There were just 14 of us there.
Yeah.
It was absolutely amazing.
I think some of the things that Joe talked about are truly, I mean, people always probably overuse the word bucket list experiences, but they are experiences that will live with you forever. And, you know, certainly that was my experience in Hiroshima. I will never forget that visit. You know, will I go back again? I don't think I will. But having experienced it is something that will live with me forever, and what's travel's all about at the end of the day. So thank you, everybody, for joining. We really appreciate your time. Thank you, Joe, for your presentation. You have restored my absolute desire to get away just as soon as I can get that jab, hopefully before April. So thank you, everybody, and look forward to talking to you soon. Bye-bye.